Hello and welcome back. I'd firstly like to welcome the new subscribers to the channel because everybody's support is very much appreciated. And thank you for all the comments and conversations I've had since my last video. Please keep them coming. So, what's happening in this week's video? Well, I find it very strange at my time of life to suddenly discover I'm right on Vogue with my camping choices. And so I look at why car and micro camping is growing so much in popularity. Another of you lovely campers show me around yours, and of course I have another tale to tell you. So stick around to the very end, as I'm always looking for something different. But first, some time ago in one of my previous videos, or it could have been one of my top tip shorts that I put out there, I showed you these lovely containers. You get them from most stores or supermarkets, and these contained bicarbonate of soda. My wife uses it for cleaning glass, but they are great resealable containers. They hold everything in and they're fine. I use them for tea bags, coffee, powdered milk, sugar, breakfast cereals. They're a perfect size for a portion of your breakfast cereal. You can even store 2 eggs inside one of these things if you're careful, and they will be very well protected. Now, another thing you can do if you're wanting to take butter or jam along or something that's a smaller quantity, you can cut them down to make much smaller pots. And if you take one of these and cut off the bottom, put a slice up the outside, you will find that you can store things away just as well. Now, unfortunately, one of the things that people have mentioned about this is that they're round. Well, I have looked for a square alternative, but been unable to find anything suitable. Being round, they can roll around in the back of your van. I put them in one of these boxes, which is a tray from out of a fridge, and that stores them all together very well. You could use something smaller, or one of the ladies that I was talking to is doing this. She has a little bag with a zip around it, and she stores them inside her little bag. Now, if space is not an issue and you're trying to just store things away neatly and tidily, then how about this? This came from a coffee carrying tray that I made years ago. You know when you go to one of these cafes and you buy those coffees, and you're normally given a tray, and by the time you've made it out to the picnic table, at least 1 or 2 of the teas and coffees have fallen over. Well, I made one of these some time ago because you can just take your coffee cup and drop it in, and it was there when I got to the picnic table. But similarly, they work extremely well as an organizer. So you can put these into their little spots, and your sauces are the same. One last tip before I move on. This is a Dymo tape machine. I found it kicking around in the back of a drawer. They used to be very popular during the 80s. You can go and produce some lovely little labels to say what's in the top, and then drop them in. There is an assumption that car camping is just people sleeping inside their cars, when really it's simply using your car to go camping. That being so, if you do use your car to sleep in, the camping season tends to last a whole lot longer. Some people just drive onto a campsite and erect a tent, whilst others simply erect an awning onto the backs of their cars. All I would still categorise as car campers, as they all involve a car and camping. Hell, it's all about getting there and having some fun, isn't it? Someone on the radio the other day said, the past is history, the future is a mystery, and the present is a gift. So I'm adopting that as my mantra, and I'd encourage you to do the same. I still include the bigger transporters, the V-dubs size vans, within the micro camper world, which are probably as far as you can go before being a mobile home. Tucked in somewhere between, we have the small vans and MPVs, the group to which I fit in. and are probably what I would really term as micro campers. And yes, we are now finding ourselves in the in crowd, and I think I'm seeing more people doing it now than ever before. It was the more mature people doing it first, but now it seems very popular with the younger generation. Although other vehicles are being used, the VW Caddy appears to be the most popular model, with many young VW owners enjoying meetups. There seems to be a pattern emerging where young people do this for many years before hooking up, getting married and having kids, which tends to upset the apple cart. They either have to upgrade or pack it in. Some return many years later with a new van and a roof tent. The kids go up top and the parents sleep in the van below. In my day, you'd often hear the jovial cries of "I'm Spartacus" echoing around a campsite. Nowadays it's "Hey you guys, be still up there and go to sleep." A lot more build their own vans themselves, sometimes using a boot jump. And there are many manufacturers out there producing kit for cars and microcampers. Look at how many high street stores are now selling car rear awnings. You know you're in the height of fashion, or as I said earlier, in vogue, when the car manufacturers start producing vehicles already kitted out as microcampers. Honda, Toyota will soon be selling microcampers, as will many others, as many major manufacturers have seen the gap in the market and have a range of microcampers already in the design stage. So no matter your age group, you are now in the cool crowd, folks, and yes, totally in vogue.
Hi, as you can guess, my name is Sue, and this is my micro camper, which I've had for about 4 or 5 years. It's a Peugeot TP. This is the interior of the micro camper, as you can see. It's got a bed which I bought online. It folds into a rock and roll bed, so obviously it goes into a chair. Underneath you've got plenty of room for storage, which is the pillow, blanket and duvet. That slots back down and it goes back into place. On each side we have the cupboards, toiletries, cutlery. On each side we have a lamp that changes colour, green, red, whatever. Okay, so this is my little micropod. It's my sink. It stores to lots of water underneath, obviously waste and clean. This pops up and stays in one position. Here we have a little one each, what you can do some cutting on, some chopping or some cooking. And then here we have the tap, which just comes on, so you've got running water and it goes off. Easy to use with a USB charger. Okay, so when I'm not using the pod, obviously I put the chopping boards back in, close it down, and then if I'm out with a gas stove, this clips up. I have a little mat, marmot, and I can put my gas stove on here ready to cook outdoors. Right, so the interior here, I have my Jackery Explorer 1000, which is ideal for my little kettle, my hot plates and my toaster. Here is the basket where I just keep cutlery, bowls, spoons, pots and pans and food if I've got some with me. And of course at the very, very back you've got to have your portable toilet, which is normally covered. Then I have a tiny little portable fridge which connects to the Jackery. Just a tiny bit, little bit to keep little bits of yoghurt, cheese, whatever you want cool. So I also have built in an iPad holder, which is ideal for night time when I want to watch a film or catch up. Okay, so now we come to my favourite part, which is the tea and coffee. It's all kept in the cupboard with the little kettle, tea bags, coffee, and of course the little UHT milks. Easy to use, easy to carry, so very cheap to buy online. bag in case I decide to go shopping, and of course hopefully you'll never need one, but a fire extinguisher. Okay, so that's my tour of my little Peugeot TP. I hope you've enjoyed it. I look forward to seeing all of yours and to give me some ideas as well. Thanks for watching. Bye.
A common sight on campsites is, of course, the tractor. And why? Well, because most campsites are really farms. I mean, such as this little beauty. The little grey Fergie, a real breakthrough in tractor design. Over 500,000 were produced in just over a 10-year period, and many are still working on farms and indeed campsites to this day. This old Fergie puts me to mind of an old mate of mine, Jack. Now Jack, like many of us, were brought up on farms, but farming wasn't for him. As he grew up, he went off and trained up and became an engineer and worked in engineering for a lot of years. He got married, had the usual semi with a garage, you know, and they had a lovely young daughter who eventually grew up, as they do, so fast these days. She grew up, got married and moved away. So on returning home, his wife said, well, you've got to get the back bedroom redecorated. You know, we'll find another use for it, make it a guest bedroom. So he went in there, and while he was repainting the walls, etc., he suddenly had a thought. He was semi-retired, and he thought this would make a great hobby room. And trying to think about the sort of hobby he'd get engaged in, well, he remembered his old days of tractors. And so in no time at all, he turned it into his little tractor model room, and he was doing these little like Airfix type tractors, and you can get die cast things made out of aluminium and things that you soldered together. And so this back bedroom was becoming a real mecca for tractors, you know, and it worked really well. He had tractor pictures on the walls and the usual tractor calendar. Anyhow, one day it transpired that him and his missus hadn't been getting on for a lot of years, and it seems that she'd fallen in love with her gym instructor, and the two of them were going to disappear to New Zealand to start a new life together. So was leaving him with everything. A bit upset about it, but as he got to think about it, he thought, tractors. And no time at all, he'd been round the farm sale and he'd bought himself an old grey Fergie. So he'd got the tractor in the garage, and before too long the garden was filling up with tractor parts, as does happen with these fanatics. So there'd be tractor tyres and bits of bonnets and exhausts and wheels and tyres all around the garden, as well as starting to appear in the house, to be honest. Anyhow, he was part of the local Tractor Appreciation Society, and he used to go off on runs with them, you know, in their tractors and stuff like that. At one of these do's, he met a young lady who was also mad keen on tractors, and so she started to join him. She'd come on over, don the overalls, and they'd be both oiled up to the elbows in grease and muck. It went so well that after a while she moved in with him. The house slowly was getting really tractorified by now. They had tractor wallpaper, tractor pictures on the wall, tractor carpets, hell, even tractor toilet paper. The TV was stood on a pile of tractor, the little front wheel tyres and things. It was looking much like a tractor graveyard in there, but nevertheless. Anyhow, they were happy. But one day she got a call and her mother wasn't well. And so she decided she'd disappear for a couple of weeks to help her mother convalesce. But she'd had a thought about the tractors. Things were getting a bit much. And so she said to him, while I'm away, I want you to think about it seriously. What's the most important thing in your life? Me or the tractors? So off she went, and he got to thinking, and he decided he was missing her. And yes, she did mean a lot more to him than the old grey Fergie. So he got his mate round with the horse box, and they shifted all the bits and bobs of tractor from out of the garden and out of the garage into the horse box and shifted it off to his mate's farm. The old grey Fergie, well, that was in his mate's barn. And then they set about the house. They'd be tearing off wallpaper, ripping up carpets, The place was gutted by the time she came home. But on seeing the house, she realised that obviously he did feel more about her than he did the tractor. And so she was really chuffed. Pleased as punch. So she says, Jack, I'm really going to make it worth your while. So off she went round the market, buying lots of ingredients, and she spent the whole morning in the kitchen preparing this great slap-up meal for the pair of them. He, meanwhile, was sat on a beanbag on a bare floor looking at a TV which was on the floor in the corner. But once things were on the go, she came in and sat down with him and they kissed and cuddled for a while, as lovers do. Anyhow, after a while she sat up and went, I can smell smoke. Oh my God, the dinner, she said, and she shot over to the kitchen, opened the kitchen door where the sight before her was acrid smoke from floor to ceiling. She screamed, Jack, come quick, the dinner's on fire. He came in, don't worry lass, moved her to one side and went, and he drew up all the black acrid smoke from in the kitchen, opened the back door, went, casually walked over to the cooker and turned off the cooker. She was amazed, stunned, she couldn't believe it. She said, Jack, how the hell did you manage that? He said, nay lass, it's dead easy when there's an ex-tractor fan. Well, that's it for another week, or should I say a fortnight. These videos go out every 2 weeks at 6 p.m. on a Friday. Thank you very much to Sue for sending in her footage. If you want to show me around and show everybody around your vehicle and what bits and pieces that you've come up with, I'd be really pleased. Just contact me and I'll send you the details of how to get them in. And there's a goodie bag goes out to everybody who sends me one in and it gets posted on the channel. What else to say? If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Try and watch the videos through to the end because there's usually something on there. Not always an evil joke like today's. I'm sorry about that. The next video, I'm off out on a trip and I'm not going to give much of a clue, but think sea shanties. Anyhow, once again, thank you very much for watching. See you again in a fortnight. Bye now.